Who's committing the crimes? The arresting officers arresting protesters, or the protesters for protesting in the first place? My name is Samuel Ronan, and I hope to be your president one day. I opened this video that way for a very simple reason. Who's the criminal? Who's at fault here, right? The students protesting war crimes and crimes against humanity, or the officers and National Guard that has been mobilized apparently, arresting these students, intimidating these students, threatening these students, corralling these students. Oh, and I'm sorry, faculty and staff as well. Who is in the wrong here? People exercising their constitutional rights? The people who are violating those rights by arresting them, intimidating them, coercing them, and threatening them. You see, we need to start really talking about freedom, justice, law, our rights, the Constitution, and specifically the Bill of Rights. We really need to be talking about these things now more than ever, because as things continue to devolve in our country, rising cost of living, the inability to afford just food, for crying out loud, never mind housing and other sundries. Now our rights are being threatened. We are no longer allowed to protest the government, right? Unless we stay in this box, in this container, doing this small thing that is inconsequential and doesn't disrupt anything, we can't protest. Which, if you picked up on the sarcasm, it's not really a protest if it doesn't disrupt anything, if it doesn't cause the government to think or to, consider, right? Which is why these students are camping on the lawns, which is why there have been marches against police brutality and anti-war and against Wall Street and so on and so forth. It's because they have to be disruptive. And by the way, the Constitution doesn't say you have the right to protest so long as it doesn't, inconvenience the government. It says you have the right to protest, period, dot, end of story. So any officer, any National Guardsman who arrests a sovereign citizen for protesting their rights is not only violating that person's rights and violating the Constitution of the United States, but any oath that has been sworn to protect the same. For instance, every single person in the military, whether enlisted or commissioned officer, raises their hand, I state my name, swear to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. Right? That's one of the lines in there. And every officer swears a similar oath. I don't know what the officer's oath is. I'm not an officer. I never intend to be one. But they do swear to protect and uphold the law. And the law is the Constitution, and then it gets divvied down to the local level. Simplified explanation, but point being, both entities are violating their oaths. And every single elected official, whether that's a governor, whether that's a mayor, whether that's the president of the United States, who orders and organizes and orchestrates these entities, the National Guard, the police, what have you, to go in, arrest, disrupt, or otherwise infiltrate and disrupt citizens' rights to protest, is violating the Constitution and their oaths. And that should be grounds for not just removal, but also punitive measures, criminal charges. Because what is more criminal than violating the rights of a citizen?